It is 6 o'clock. Carla, if you would please call roll.
Whitney Hall, Walker Henson.
Here.
Jacob Krumwiede.
Here.
Marvin Tusick.
Here.
Eddie Mack.
Here.
Scott Orr.
Here.
Cole Ream.
Here.
Don Roberts.
Here.
James Simonek. David Trojan.
Here.
That is a quorum.
Thank you, Carla. I hereby call the March Metropolitan Area Planning Commission meeting to order. First order of business is to consider approval of the minutes of the February 28th, 2022 regular MAPC meeting.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm going to abstain only because I was not here.
Okay.
I'm going to abstain as well. I wasn't here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have all ayes with 2 abstentions. Okay. Administration, hold a public hearing and provide a recommendation on an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 11, Zoning, Chapter 13, sign regulations to revise the chapter generally, renumber, and simplify. Section 1113.1, purpose and objectives. Section 1113.2, definitions. Area. Section 1113.3, bonding and licensing of contractors. Section 1113.4, entitled signs that do not require a permit. Section 1113.5, prohibited signs. Section 1113.6, permits and inspections to change how permits are charged. Section 1113.7, general regulations. Section 1113.8, enforcement of sign regulations. Section 1113.9, allowances by zoning district. Section 1113.10, allowances by supplemental zoning district. Section 1113.11, size, location, and other restrictions. Section 1113.12, billboards. And 1113.13, non-conforming signs. 1113.14, review and appeal, providing for a repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
Good job reading all that, Marvin. All right, this is a hearing, so what I'd like to do first is just kind of bring you through some of the major changes that this ordinance has. And I believe in your packet you have the actual agenda. We can pull that up if we have questions. And then when I'm done, if there's anyone in the audience that would like to talk about this since it's a hearing, we can do that.
Nobody signed up.
Nobody signed up, okay. So, we have put a lot of thought into this and spent quite a bit of time trying to make this right because nobody likes to change things and then have it not be right and need to change it again. So we've taken our time. Carol has been very instrumental in reworking this and working this. She's been very thoughtful about how she's placed some of this so that it makes more sense as you look through the ordinance and you're not hopping from this place to that. And we've gotten quite a bit of feedback. Joe and Jesse Klein are here, and they've spent a lot of time with us, helping us to make sure that we get it right, so we don't have to come back and ask for another ordinance change. So I'd like to just take you through what we've looked at. First of all, these are just the objectives that are listed on for our ordinance for the sign, what we're trying to do. I just wanted to throw this slide in so you can get a reminder of what this ordinance is supposed to be doing. We want to preserve the property values. We want to remove the non-conforming things, prohibit new billboards. You can see all of the things listed there. Major changes that we were wanting to do is take care of our freestanding sign issues that we've had. We want to just consider any freestanding sign as one. You can see the picture of the sign on the right. The way we've permitted signs like that in the past would be the Freddy's sign on the top being one permit, and then the electronic messaging center on the bottom being another permit. And we're putting it all in and charging 1 fee for it now to try to make it more simple. Another thing that we'll talk about later on, but I just want to bring it up now while we're looking at this picture of the Freddy's sign. Our ordinance in the past would say that the EMC portion on the bottom can only be a certain size, and your identification sign needs to be much bigger than that. and we've eliminated all of that. Kind of the way of a lot of people are doing it, and there's several signs that the larger feature of the sign is the electronic messaging center. So we want to make our ordinance kind of get us into the modern way people are wanting to advertise. There's a little change in the insurance requirement you'll see there to kind of standardize what kind of insurance requirements we expect contractors to have. That brings it similar to what other contractors have in other trades. And if, like for instance, if that Freddy's sign up there on the top was busted in a hailstorm or something like that and just needs to be replaced with the same copy that's on it, we're not requiring a permit just to make it, replace out a copy of a sign face. A few things on violations. We wanted to firm up some of what our abilities are in the code department downstairs. Any dangerous signs, we're able to get those removed if it's a danger to the public. And if there's a prohibited sign, we can fine someone $200 on that, subject to removal. For permits and inspection, these are some of the big changes that we're really excited about. A lot of the way we were doing our permits before, we would tack on an inspection fee for electrical. We'd tack on a sign inspection fee, a foundation inspection fee, and you'd have these sign permits that had 3 or 4 different inspections added onto the permit fee. And on the next slide, I'll show you what we've done with that, but we're basically including all of our inspection fees. When we permit the sign, any inspection needed is taken care of in that fee. It makes it a lot easier for our contractor to go out and bid and say, we're going to put this sign in. I know the city permit fee is going to be $50. That's all I need to plan on. And so what we're also doing is pulling out electrical from the way the ordinance was written before. A sign contractor would be responsible for the electrician, hiring the electrician, knowing who the electrician is, and listing all of their electrical schematics on their sign. And we would like to just pull that out and let the electrician be responsible for his part, and let the sign permit holder be responsible for their part, and not have it added together. A lot of times that would cause an issue if the electrical contractor was being hired by the business owner, and maybe they haven't hired them yet. They've just hired someone to put a sign in, and now we're holding up the sign guy while he's waiting on an electrical permit. So we want to separate that, take that away. Footing inspections, a lot of our smaller signs, we do have some wind here in Enid, but we really don't have signs that fall over, especially due to footing inspections. So we're putting a limit on this and trying to eliminate the need to go out and inspect every single concrete pour for a sign. And so we are saying that if it is not 20 feet tall, or if it is smaller than 100 square feet, it isn't required to have a footing inspection. So here's the fees that we're talking about. We're going to charge a $50 fee for any wall signs or any other signs, and a $100 fee for EMC signs or freestanding signs. So we have 2 fees. We always have to include the OUBCC fees in anything that we do with these permits, so that stays the same. But we're simplifying down to 2 fees, either 50 or 100, and the inspections are included. A couple of changes we've made to size. We are restricting the EMC message boards. Those can't be larger than 72 square feet. The idea behind that is we don't want there to be billboard-sized, electronic messaging centers all across town. But 72 square feet is still very large. I think that comes out to like a 6x12 sign. It would be very costly for someone to want one of those at any rate. We've changed the max height from 32 feet to 35. That just kind of, there's some other signs that had a 35 feet height, so we just made them the same. And like I mentioned on that Freddy's slide, we lifted the restriction on what % that EMCs have available on that freestanding sign. So that takes us through, I think, most of the major changes that we have proposed on this ordinance. So are there any questions?
What about the bonding and licensing of contractors?
So on the insurance requirement, we've changed that insurance requirement. I don't believe we're asking for bonding on the signs. Can you guys?
Maybe a sign contractor's bond to get the license. I mean, they have to provide that amount of insurance, and it's been raised, if you think they need to do, because $10,000 won't cover anything anymore.
Yeah.
I've heard from other sign companies that it's hard to come into Enid and do business.
I would ask you for, if you hear any of that, to have them to contact me. I haven't heard any feedback like that from any other sign contractors, but
Most of your large sign companies are carrying more than you need to continue to apply.
yeah.
We have to, just to service national contract,
So
so it's not a big issue.
Joe's comment, if you didn't hear, was that most major sign contractors are gonna have those bonds and insurance requirements. And Joe was saying they have to have those in order to service some of their national clients. They have to be bonded and insured up to certain amounts. Is that right?
Yes, but
I think you and I have spoke a couple of times now about one of the prohibited items being vehicle signs, and you and I have had some conversation about clarification on that. Of course, certainly we don't want to attack businesses that have wraps or anything on their vehicles. I think, if I'm correct, our conversation is more about how long a vehicle with a sign sets in one place, and trying to make sure that that doesn't become a blight. Am I correct on that?
Right, the intent, I believe, of this ordinance is, if you're a realtor and you've got your company name and your phone number on the side of your car, we're not coming after you for a violation there. I believe what the intent of the ordinance on the restriction of vehicle signs is, if you've got a large sign on the whole flatbed of your truck, or a big trailer you've got a big sign on, anything that's on wheels that's basically a rolling sign, where that's a prohibited sign. But it doesn't restrict you from having your business name and phone number on the side of your vehicle. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
Or a wrap,
Right.
is what you mentioned.
Yeah, and of course, we come back to, there's a limited amount, but there are some vehicles that are purpose-built as signs. And perhaps we could add some language, maybe prohibiting them from staying in one place. I would say they don't need to stay in one place more than like 72 hours. I know they're given considerably more time than that. As you said, some of them have found a workaround. We're going to move it in 29 days. Perhaps we need to maybe make a provision for those purpose-built vehicles, but not allow them as much time to stay in one place. That would be something that maybe we could discuss a little further, not tonight, obviously, but to just clarify that one section. I absolutely love the work that's been done on this ordinance compared to where we were 5 and 7 years ago, and some of the fights that occurred. This is a fantastic rework, I think, after having read it. So that's kudos to Carol. and
I
everybody.
appreciate that. Carol has done an extraordinary amount of work on this, and we've had a lot of feedback, so I can't take any credit here.
Kudos to you, Carol,
Yes.
for that, because after reading it, that's the only thing that kind of made me scratch my chin. So perhaps she and I can have a conversation briefly about that at another time.
Okay. Now, Chris, you can help me out here. I don't know if, I believe we're looking tonight for a recommendation from this board to move this ordinance to the mayor and commissioners meeting coming up on April the 5th. Is that correct?
That would be appropriate.
Okay.
If there's no more questions, I will accept a motion to recommend.
Could we make a motion to recommend with further clarification on that one item? Is that something we could do?
Yes, sir, you can.
Okay. I would make
I actually think it's pretty clear. Signs placed on or fixed
to vehicles or trailers that are parked on a public right-of-way, public property, or private property so as to be visible to the general public, where the apparent purpose is to advertise a product or direct people to a business or activity located on the property. So, really, I think we're only talking about where you've got a giant truck. I mean, obviously, if the car is parked there because a person works there and goes and delivers things off-site, that the reason why the car has a wrap is so that people will be able to tell that, the pizza person or whatever is coming to their house. That is different than if you have a humongous trailer that obviously has not been loading things for 3 weeks and is the name of a restaurant or a tiny shoe company, like a shoe store. And we don't sell that many shoes in 6 months, much less. So I actually think that I think our people know what we're talking about. Maybe someone else doesn't know, but I know that it means those big trucks that are in the Jumbo's parking lot that used to be Boys Market on South Van Buren. There is often a large truck there that seems to be advertising telephones, and it's there for 3 or 4 weeks. That, I think, would be what we're calling a vehicle sign, not a beer truck that drives in and delivers the beer to the grocery store. But if we can do better, you and I will talk and we'll revise it.
And I would agree with what you're saying, and I think the instance I'm talking about is we don't want necessarily to prohibit the vehicle, we just don't want it sitting there not being moved for 3 or 4 weeks or however long. Perhaps we don't want to ban that vehicle if it's being maintained, if it's safe to operate. Perhaps we just don't want that sitting in the same spot perpetually, in lieu of having a real actual sign on a pylon or something to that effect.
What I hear you saying, Commissioner, is that less regulation is better, and I think you're right.
So, it'd be like if I owned a property on the street, but I have a moving van that says Joe's Beds, and it sat there for 3 weeks and I didn't sell a bed.
Exactly. And that's I would like to just clarify the kind of the timeline. So I would make a motion to accept, with the caveat that we review that just a little bit further and perhaps clarify that language a little more.
Well, I want to clarify too, and maybe Carol, you can do this for us. If we make changes here, can we still take it to City Commission, or do we need to bring it back to this body? It's fine if we bring it back, but there is a hearing requirement and all that stuff. So Carol, could you address what that means for us?
Well, what is your intention? Do you want the sign ordinance? Are you recommending that they pass it on the first meeting in April, if we've resolved the vehicle sign issue? Maybe, change the definition so that the name of it, so it's not vehicle sign, it's something else. Or do you want it to come back and then you will approve it unconditionally?
I would certainly say that we would like to move it along.
Okay.
But we also would want to make sure that you've got it so far advanced over what it was. Again, kudos to you.
You could always reopen it again later.
And that is also an option. Could we come? I hate to just say, okay, let's talk about it next week. Let's get it hammered out, and then all of a sudden we have to have another meeting, another hearing, revising that one little part. I am not trying to hold this up or create extra time or extra work,
Well,
just so you know.
I have an opinion on this.
As you're there, would
It's
you
not really
please?
opinion. I think our current sign ordinance, and it's been written that way since 1985, that portable signs are prohibited. And a portable sign is any sign that can temporarily sit there and be moved at the owner's whim. And I don't think it's talking about somebody that has a delivery truck or a delivery vehicle that's their property sitting in front of their business waiting to make a delivery. I don't think it prohibits that at all. I think it's trying to prohibit, there's a trailer around town with an EMC sign on it that the guy wants to park at the corner of the major intersection and sit out there for several weeks advertising other people's stuff. I think that's what portable sign is. A different individual than the property owner owns it, and he can't, and they can't do that. It can't sit there at all. And this same truck that has a static message on it, not an EMC sign, he's driving around parking in other people's property, and like it's advertising T-Mobile, but he's sitting in front of Access Wireless. I'm sure Access Wire does not appreciate his portable sign sitting in front of his business. So portable signs are prohibited, and the one that the guy is renting out is a portable sign and is prohibited. The person that owns, like, let's say like Garfield Furniture, he has a delivery truck and it sits in front of his business all the time when it's not making deliveries, and that's okay by the sign ordinance because he owns it. It's delivering his product. It has his identification on it because he owns it and he's delivering to other people. They want to know who's showing up at their business. So I think our sign ordinance amply recovers this, resolves this issue. It's just a matter of definition. What is a portable sign and what's a delivery truck vehicle?
And so I would actually agree with you, and I talked to Scott about this morning. The ordinance is not targeting when your trucks are sitting at your business that say Klein sign. Code enforcement's not going to go write you a ticket every day. We're not going after companies that have wraps. We're not going to fine the marshal because he has Marshall on the thing out there.
Well, you could find the city because the transit vans.
Sure,
advertising.
and I've got a sign on my truck, and so I understand the ordinance is not targeting those things.
But-
Scott and I spoke about that this morning. I fully understand that. And when this was added in 1985, what were people doing? They were taking those ugly blinking marquee signs and they're putting it in the back of their Chevy pickup and backing it up in their business and plugging it in with 12 extension cords. And that was horrible. It wasn't safe. It was ugly. And that's where that came from. But in 2022, nobody's using those. Those are in the junkyard. And so, but and I fully understand that it's more about the timeline when we have a vehicle that I'm not talking about Joe Bob having a 12-pack and welding up some kind of weird thing. I'm talking about a vehicle that is purpose-built to have the digital signs on the side, which is a manufactured item, or the trucks that have the little signs, the signs that are the bed, that are manufactured. That is the concern. And obviously, so I know we're not targeting business owners, delivery drivers, so on and so forth. I get that.
Here's my suggestion. You make your motion, and I will figure out what to call them that is better. And if I, I'll check with some other, I'll look around in other ordinances and see if there's, a definition. I'll fix the definition, I'll take it to the city council. If I can't, or I am uncertain, I will bring it back to you. Is that good enough?
That definitely works for me.
Okay.
Okay. The motion in that case.
Are you moving to amend what's been amended?
Let's read the motion.
You're moving to amend, it's a different, go ahead.
Okay. So, and perhaps council can assist me with this, but I am making a motion to approve with some language correction to the ordinance prohibited, under prohibited signage that states just vehicle signs.
Suggested language.
Suggested language.
I will second that.
Okay. We've all hammered this out. I have a motion and a second to move to, let's see, to provide a recommendation to the mayor and board of commissioners on this. I'm trying to figure out how to put this.
Sorry.
Yeah, you did a good job. In any case, we're making a motion to recommend this with the one change that Mr. Ream has made. If everybody's okay with that, I'm going to bring it up for a vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I think it's an amendment. I just don't want to cause any problems. I like it the way it is. I just don't want it to create a legal issue.
No, and I can see where you're going with that.
It's a recommendation.
Exactly.
So it may look just like this when it comes back to the commission.
It very well
might.
could.
I bet that I can come up with something that will please you more, and it's a
I'm okay with the way it is.
recommendation. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I think we're covered.
Okay.
I think you'll like it.
All right, we will move on. Item 4 is zoning. 4-1 is to hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance rezoning property located at 1502 South 4th Street from R3 Residential Mobile Home Neighborhood District to C1 Light Commercial District with a planned unit development overlay for a ropes course. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This slide is an introductory of all three items that you're going to look at this evening. They are all three for Forgotten Ministries. The top rectangle is at 4th and Nagel, and that's where the proposed ropes course will be located. Moving south on the east side of 4th Street was the location for the tiny homes, and then further south on 4th Street is going to be an expansion of the current men's facility. The first one that we're talking about tonight is rezoning the ropes course from R3 to C1 with the PUD overlay, and that allows them to do their outreach center and a ropes course on that location. We have public water and sewer to support the rezoning. The outreach center will have 13 parking spaces, or 13 are required. They are providing 18, more than what's required. The comprehensive plan supports this. The recommendation is to approve. Can I answer any questions?
Do we have anyone signed up to speak about this?
Nobody is, but Jeremiah is here, and if you have questions, he'll be happy to answer them.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'm sorry, ask Jeremy, one question. What's the target? Who do you intend to bring to the ropes course? What would be the individuals we'd expect to see being brought to this facility?
Yeah, so the ropes course, a lot of our programs are designed to help sustain themselves. And so this one is meant to help sustain our kids program that actively pursues the community in that area, largely the Marshallese and Chukis population. We have a preschool, after-school program, and a youth program that helps with education and discipleship and different things. And so it's meant to kind of like, let's say the bowling alley or a putt-putt course. It's meant to bring people in for youth groups, the high schools, the middle schools. It's good with help building team building. It's good for businesses. And so I think it's going to be a wide range. I think it is going to attract people down there that's going to want to go through this rope course. Obviously, we'll have a capacity limit on that, on how many we can run through the course at a time. Our goal right now is probably going to be mainly to run it on a Friday evening and a Saturday evening, or Saturday day. And then once the summer goes, we'll have that more open during the summer. It's kind of a part of the larger plan for all three programs. And so with like our men's transitional program that you're going to get to in a second, It's going to build another about 4,900 square foot. Half of that's going to be designed for like a living center. So one of the things that our men's program's challenged with is that our facilities right now only offer bedrooms, and we have one little small kitchen. And the challenge with guys that come through the program, one of their things that they like to do is to isolate. And so you're always trying to create ways to get the guys out, to get them involved in the community with service projects or serving around the town. And so the new facility will have an area where they do the cooking together, they'll eat together, they'll have their classroom in there, and we're going to offer another 18 beds in the new facility. So that will actually eliminate one of our housing facilities down in that area on one of the maps you'll see in a second that houses 12 of those men. And that's going to be turned into housing for college interns. So we're working with OBU for kids to come into Enid to get college credit. And so they'll be able to come to Enid for either a 3-month or a year-long internship that gets them college credit towards whatever degree they're getting. And so, again, why it goes back to the program is these college interns, they're going to be working in the ropes course as part of their stay here to help take care of the needs of the ropes course and the people we're going to be serving.
So these will be certified ropes course instructors, and of course will be certified on the state as well as their.
Yes, so you can go to Bonsai Designs if you want to look up the company we're going to be going through. They're out of Grand Junction, Colorado. They're probably the leading in this field. Their main target of where they build these is like tourist areas. So one of the ones that I've seen is out by like Mount Rushmore and Hill City area. And so it's designed, obviously in that area, to bring in hundreds of people. But they're going to come down, they're going to look at the land, they'll design it with the size that we have, and then we'll build the appropriate things for lighting, safety, and making sure that we have the right amount of staff. And then they come in yearly, train us, certify us, and then they do inspections on the course every year to make sure it meets the standards, and they replace what needs to be updated and different things like that.
Is that something the city would inspect? I'm familiar with this through the Boy Scout program, and it required significant inspections, a lot of safety issues. Is that something that would be, the city would have a responsibility to make sure this is safe for people that come in and use it?
I'm sure as part of the construction process, we would inspect it.
Is there a code provide for these kind of facilities?
I think Carol stepped out. I think what I'm used to is, for instance, the rides at Meadow Lake. We typically, the Kiwanis typically pay, who operate those rides, pay an inspector. Actually, we have the state inspector come and look at those. I don't know if there's a state inspector that looks at ropes courses or not, but we can certainly look into it.
Well, make sure it's safe if we're inviting the public to use it, and make sure we have the appropriate oversight, because certain aspects of this can deteriorate and cause significant injury.
And we do too. At the end of the day, obviously, as a ministry, we don't want any injuries.
No,
and
none
so,
of us do.
right, yeah, exactly.
Making sure we.
And so one of the things that the company, they said that it costs so much a year for them to come down and do these inspections. And so they have some type of standard on which it has to meet in order for them to pass those inspections every year. I don't know the name of what that is right now. As we get a little further, we could even get you more information on that, of what that would be as far as this company that does this nationwide.
And I guess we should take these one at a time, but I'm going to hit with all three properties. Does Forgotten Ministries own title to these lots at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They're already in our names.
Are they, so they're probably off property tax rolls at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in the tiny home area, we've had that property for quite a few years now. We've been working with the city for probably 2-3 years, something like that, to create the right type of ordinance for the tiny homes to make sure that it's done the right way. We've actually flew to several different metropolitan areas to look at tiny home villages to see what we feel like is good, what's safe, what's not going to create a problem. There's a lot of different ways that people do that in other communities that I would say I don't agree with. And so we're going above and beyond to try to keep, obviously, the community safe. Our program will be designed, or the tiny homes will be a part of a program, so we won't just move people and allow them to eventually own the house. It will be a program probably mainly for elderly people is what we're trying to look towards. and with people that are retired, that once, people that retire, sometimes you see a decline in their health because of a lack of purpose or a lack of options of what they do. And so the whole ministry is kind of set up to offer the people that live in these houses an opportunity to stay busy. And so that's why we have the garden or the homeless shelter or the different things that we have to provide something for the people that live there, a chance to do something.
We're good? Commissioners?
I still have a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to change the zoning on the location, or the property located at 1502 South 4th Street. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is unanimous. Okay, item 2 is to hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance rezoning property located at 1621 South 4th Street from R3 Residential Mobile Home District to R3 Residential Mobile Home Neighborhood District with a planned unit development overlay for tiny homes.
Thank you, Chairman. This is the site there at Moore and 4th Street, 1621 South 4th. This is the site plan. It shows 10 tiny homes on that campus setting layout with parking. The residents here are in a position where owning a car probably is not within their means. And so what they're providing here is 2 guest parking and 1 accessible dumpster trash pickup. And this is a typical floor plan of one of the tiny homes. This then is some renderings of what the facility will look like. It's recommended for approval. Can I answer any questions?
No questions? Motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance rezoning property located at 1621 South 4th Street. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? And that's unanimous. Okay, the last one is to hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance rezoning property located at 1818 South 4th Street from R3 Residential Mobile Home District to R3 Residential Mobile Home Neighborhood District with a planned unit development overlay for men's transitional housing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On this slide, the site is outlined in yellow. Right north of it, you should see R3 PUD. That is where the current men's facility is, and this project is an expansion of that. As Jeremiah told you a moment ago, he's adding 18 more beds to this facility. Here is the site plan. Parking, trash is taken care of. There's a layout of the facility, and there's a picture of what it'll look like. It's recommended for approval. Can I answer any questions?
I got a question for Jeremiah. So these men's centers, there's not a problem with them being close to the kids' rope center or anything like that?
No, we've had the men's program now for about 7 years is what we've had it. Everyone that comes in the program, they have to pass an application and an interview process. None of the guys that come in are violent crime or sex offenders. And actually the majority of the guys that we get in our program are they're not out of prison anymore. We are working with other men's programs that they graduate from, and a lot of those guys will bring them over for the transitional part. So really ours is to kind of help get them the life skills that they need as far as job training, money management, and then within the first month or two is to try to get them plugged into a job. So we work with several local businesses that we're able to get them a job pretty much within the first couple months of them being here. We've graduated quite a few guys from the program. And again, it's really, we're not adding a lot of beds. We're only adding 6 extra beds. It's the community center that's really needed for these guys because of the classes and just them having a place to go outside of their bedroom. But yeah, we don't have any problems as far as the kids. We run our youth programs and all of our things down in these areas with the men's program being there.
So do you have a waiting list for people to get in?
We do. We have applications pretty constantly for guys that are wanting to get into the facility. I would say right now we're running somewhere around 15 guys. Actually, Brandon's one of our graduates. He's actually runs part of our men's work crew now that helps them take the guys out. They do mowing and power washing. again, to teach them how to work. I mean, some of the guys haven't had a job in 20, 30 years, and so you're trying to really just break down, wake up at 8, put your clothes on, let's go out there and work hard throughout the day, and then come home, and we have the classes set up to help them work through some of the struggles they have.
Is there a focus on where most of these individuals presently live? Are they in this region? Are they outside the state?
Yeah, I would say majority of them are Oklahoma. I would say we have a couple from out of state. Just through some churches we've worked with, they've met some people that just fit the type of program. Like we have one guy from Kansas right now. We work with the Baptist church up there. He really, he just got behind, and he kind of got behind on some things. He got a DUI, lost his car, and then he's going through a divorce. And so now he's just kind of resetting, getting some skills that he needs to get rid of that addiction. And, his kids are actually now coming down and they're visiting. And so, it's kind of a wide range, but most of them are from within Oklahoma, and I would say within 150-mile radius. Our Mercy House, our homeless shelter, is kind of a big draw. Our homeless shelter, we only open usually during the emergency seasons. So like this winter, we were open for 4 months. And as we get to meet homeless guys that are on the street, an opportunity for them to transition is when that Mercy House closes. Here's the housing facility. If you want to get back on your feet, you don't have to be homeless. And so we usually have 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys every season that we've seen transition into the program. And I would say we're about 80% of the guys that come through end up graduating. So I say that statistically speaking, we're doing fairly good compared to the prison statistics, which is 97% of them within 3 years after graduating end up back in prison. So, that's the reason the program really got started, is because we were trying to offer something to break the cycle. And I think the Oasis has done that. And, we've been able to work with, Derwin in the Southern Heights neighborhood, and just with debris pickup and trimming down trees and cutting up things in people's yard. I think last year the Oasis program hauled out 400,000 tons of debris. And so, they're actively working in the community to help it to be better and to make it look better and stuff. So it's pretty good, man. I wish I had time to get guys up here and tell you their stories. It's pretty cool what God's doing and through the program.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
I'll accept the motion. Second? Second. Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve rezoning property located at 1818 South 4th Street. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, Section 5, Item 1, consider a final plat and make a recommendation to the mayor and Board of Commissioners for Hearthstone Farms Edition, Blocks 2 and 3, located in the part of the northeast and northwest quarters, Section 15, Township 22 North, Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The slide in front of you shows the current Hearthstone development and surrounding it. It also shows existing sewer and water and streets. The area outlined in yellow is the final plat that we're considering this evening. It is blocks 2 and 3 and contains a total of 12 lots. And here is the preliminary plat that was approved years ago. We always want to make sure that the final plat is consistent with it, and it is. And here is the final plat. Are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve on the final plat on the Hearthstone Farms Edition. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion carries. Item 2 is consider a preliminary plat for Willow Oaks Edition, Block 1, in part of the northeast quarter of Section 3, Township 22 North, Range 7 west of the Indian Meridian. Chris again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is at the corner of Willow and Oakwood. I think most of you are familiar with that vacant property there. It is going to be developed into 6 different lots. This is the preliminary plat. This is the first time you've had an opportunity to see it. The engineer has provided us building locations along with the preliminary lot lines as well as parking. There will be shared access, so there's limited driveways onto Willow as well as Oakwood, which is good and consistent with our transportation plan. It's good planning. And then the parking is ample, and there will be cross-access agreements between the different lots to utilize the proposed driveways, and there'll be cross-access easements and agreements for shared parking. It meets our preliminary plat requirements. It's recommended for approval.
Any questions? Have a motion?
Second.
Motion is second to approve the preliminary plat for the Willow Oaks addition. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, and that motion carries. Item 3 is to consider a final plat and make a recommendation to the Mayor and Board of Commissioners for the Willow Oaks addition, Block 1, and part of the northeast quarter of Section 3, Township 22 North, Range 7, west of the Indian Meridian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the final plat without the parking and driveways and the buildings. There's 6 lots. The extreme northeast lot will have sewer extended. The plat provides for that. It's recommended for approval.
A motion to approve? Second. Motion is second to approve the final plat of the Willow Oaks addition, Block 1. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. Last item is adjourned. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion is second to adjourn. All those in favor, aye? Those opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you, gentlemen.